What's cracking, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today's video. You know this thing with Keefe D. I don't know him. I don't want to come off as disrespectful to him. But I'm pretty sure his name is gonna be Keefe Dumb. It ain't just Keefe D no more. Chingo. How do you talk your way into being arrested like that? But before we go there, so this video was inspired by El Davila. El Davila left a message, a comment, right? And El Davila is from Compton. For those of you not from California, that's Compton. And he was talking about, he left a comment talking about how growing up in his era, same era as mine, gang banging, and the way rappers were looked at. It seems like nowadays these youngsters look at rappers like they're gangsters. I guess maybe in Chicago that's what it is. But for the most part, I think we've always understood, at least out here, rappers were like the WWE characters. You know what I mean? They were telling somebody else's story. They weren't really living that life. The one I remember something happened with was it the lynch mob. One of Ice Cube's people from the lynch mob caught a case and went to jail. I don't know if Ice Cube helped him out. I don't know, but that's how it is. If you're really banging, you don't have time to be in the studio. And if you do have a little spare time to be in the studio, but you really are a banger, you're going to jail, you're going to die, right? So El Davila was talking about how now, all these years later, they're making it seem as though Tupac was really in the hood, and a lot of these rappers were really in the hood, right? And he asked me, throughout all my years of doing time, did I ever meet anybody that ever said they saw them in Compton or in South Central, Watts, any of that? No, I didn't. I never met anybody that said that. I don't know anybody that ever looked at any of them, including Suge Knight, and thought like, that's a real gangster. Suge, everybody knows his story. Suge grew up in Compton. He grew up around Mob James and all them. But he was a good kid. Went to, did the sports route and then became a bodyguard. And, he saw that he could make some things happen, and he definitely did that. Unfortunately, his empire fell apart because of his own puppeteering, we could say, right? It's you see the thumbnail, right? It's the end. It's finally over. That whole thing is done. But I was asked about it during my live the other day, right? I went live on my big channel, and I was asked about this Keefe D thing, man. And I don't know Keefe D. Don't know anything about him other than what he does on Vlad TV and what is it, Say Cheese? I think he's been on there. Whatever he's done on YouTube, that's all I know about him, right? But I know that according to him, according to the officers, which I do Greg Kading, and whoever else has spoken about him, Keefe D has admitted to being, pushing a lot of weight, and that the death of Tupac pretty much closed his pipeline. His pipeline was shut down because of the heat, right? And obviously his plug knew Keefe D and knew, this dude don't know how to keep his mouth shut. 30-something years later, look at what he did. For someone who has been in the dope game, comes from the hood, comes from an era where they were shooting, they were killing, they were really banging. How do you not understand that whatever deal you made with the LAPD or LA sheriffs, whatever you did in California with Los Angeles officials, how do you not realize and not know you didn't make a deal with the feds, fool? You made a deal with a county where the shit didn't even take place. How did you not realize Vegas is following and listening? And I mean, you built the case for him, man. The last one that was in that car, right? The last one I'm wondering if it's just because when I would see his interviews, I could see a man who had it all at one point and lost it and was trying to get it back. But he was trying to get it back based off of a murder he didn't commit. But he told the story as if he was that guy. And so that's what the case is going to be. The DA, I guarantee you, the DA is going to tell the jury right away, right up front, he did not. We know for a fact Keefe D did not pull the trigger. We don't even want to. That isn't even our case. Our case is that he ordered it. That's what they're going to say. How do you fucking get out of that, Keefe D? You know, you were breaking your arm trying to pat yourself on the back. Talking about the influence you had in Compton, the weight you were pushing, the plugs you had. You were that guy for your neighborhood. Whether that's true or not doesn't matter. You built the case against yourself. You allow the cops to say he's not the shooter, but the shooter wouldn't have did anything without his say. Now, if you see in Davila's comment, you'll see where, and I agree, and other people have said it. The reason why Tupac got smoked that night was because he was an entertainer that touched a real life shooter. Had Buntry or one of them got into it with them, you know, that's like, okay, they're banging. Buntry was known. Baby Lane was known. They know they could have ran that back in the streets. They would have saw each other in Compton. But to be on camera, to be on the ground and getting stomped on by an entertainer, somebody that is not from that world. Baby Lane couldn't do that. That's not an L he could take. And so he did what gangsters do. He squared that up that night. End of story. You know, people put in the whole Suge had him killed. Man, Suge ain't gonna sit in the car next to a dude and have somebody firing on him. Ain't no way. All these conspiracies that have come out, man, they're all irrelevant. It's like I've talked about in prison when you have dudes politicking and there's one issue and then they bring up all these side issues to get you caught in the smoke, get you lost in the weeds, and then you lose sight of what the real issue is. The real issue is Tupac had no business putting his hands on a shooter, somebody that was a known shooter. Tupac's my favorite rapper. Tupac busted on undercover cops. People say, oh, but he didn't know they were undercover. He knew that two people were jumping a black dude and said, nah, that ain't happening. Not around me. And he started shooting his gun. I don't think Tupac's as soft as some people like to say he is. But I know that he's an example of what happens when you talk about death constantly. When you talk about negative shit constantly, that energy attaches itself to you and then attracts more negativity. So if nothing else, let's keep that in mind. Focus on your energy. And I mean, I know dudes that have bodies that they haven't been busted for. They ain't trying to take credit for it. I can't imagine what Keefe D is feeling right now. I'm sure he's aware that life on the streets is not going to be an option for him anymore. It's unfortunate, but karma always tries to level everything out. Before we leave, we usually pay all our debts. And then they say that those that we don't pay fall on our children. I hope that's not true. Anybody out there who has been successful and unfortunately lost whatever they had because it was gained by ill-gotten means. Don't try to get back in the. Don't try. Do not do a Keefe D. Keefe D is a verb now. Don't do a Keefe. Chingam. Man, I like I said on my live, man, I would expect him to get a deal of about 18 years. Look at what they did to Suge. 20. What did they give him? 28. Suge punched it out of that parking lot in fear of his life. Shit was going down, and he killed somebody who he actually got along with. Right? Isn't that the story? And obviously, it wasn't intentional. 28 years, and then you got a guy 30 years later writing a book, doing every interview he can. What does Vlad pay? Like 5 racks, maybe? He's probably giving him like. Let's just say he gave Keefe D 5 racks. I'm sure he burnt through all that money already, and whoever else was paying him, he burned through that money too. And even if he has a little bit left, it ain't worth the amount of time you're about to do, Keefe D. Everybody pay attention. I know we're all going to be watching what happens. And I know I'm smiling, and I'm not trying to be, sinister or anything like that. I don't get it. You were that guy at one point. Your time passed. Why did you try to get back in the limelight like that? How did you not know that you did a deal with a county in a state where the murder didn't take place? How did you not know that Vegas can pick all that shit up? They can use all of your words against you. I don't know, man. We're all going to grab some popcorn and watch. And make sure you. Chingao, I can't believe it. Learn the lesson, man. Learn the lesson, because there's a whole bunch of them. And rappers, I've said it before. I say it again. If you were a banger, if you were a shooter, but you get an opportunity from a talent that was given to you by God to make money and get yourself out of the hood and get your family out of the hood, don't do the devil's work. Do not get in the studio and talk about all the guns and all the killing you could do and taunt people that really are in the streets. You can't do that. You can. But, I mean, how many rappers have been killed in the last 5 years, man? When you talk like you're the toughest guy in the room, the real tough guys want to know if that's real or not. With that said, everybody please be safe, be smart, and tell the ones you love that you love. I'm out. Oh, one last thing for Keefe D. Troca.